welcome to the regional best practice discussion. My name is Michael Lantini. I have the privilege of being a franchisee, and I'm the chief operating officer for the Subway JPW territory and the Northwoods BDA group. So welcome to our audience. And today I'm joined by Brothers Cortez. So we've got Jared, we've got Greg. Why don't you guys do a quick introduction? And Greg, you've got seniority. So why don't we start with you, do a brief introduction. Who's Greg?
Right on. I'm Greg Cortez. I've been with Subway since the summer of 2013. It's been a long time. Started as a sandwich artist, worked my way up through the ranks. A year later, I became store manager, and hey, I managed that store all the way until about 2019 when I became a franchisee. I took over in March of 2019. We had a great year. And then of course, COVID hit us in 2020, not so much of a good year, but I was thankful with how we finished, and we're ramping back up for 2021. And I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Greg, I don't think you said it, but where's your Subway located?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we're in Galva, Illinois.
Galva, Illinois.
I live a block away from the store, so it's very convenient.
That's really cool. Well, Jared, let's hear from you. Who's Jared, and how long have you been with Subway?
Hey, Michael, I just wanted to thank you for having us on. It's an honor. Yeah. Everybody, my name's Jared Cortez, Greg's little brother there. Been with Subway for about going on 6 years now. It's been great for me. I started as a sandwich artist as well. Greg hired me when I was 15. I started with the worker's permit, so the youngest you could be anyways. So yeah, worked as a sandwich artist. When Greg took over as the franchisee, I started helping him manage the restaurant and really took accountability, for everything that was going on in that store. So, it gave me a good idea of what to expect when I became a franchisee as well. Going into that, I just became a franchisee on March 10th. So I'm a month and 5 days in. Things have been great. Sales are up. The customers keep on coming in, and we're just doing all of the same practices that we do at the Galva store there, and the customers are loving it. So we look forward to keeping that same atmosphere alive.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And so, Greg, I've got some KPIs. I didn't tell you I was going to share this with the audience, but so your OSAT number for the first quarter, and this is true for last year in 2019 even, your OSAT score is constantly well above the average in the country and in the territory. You've got an OSAT of over 86 for the first quarter. 100% of your guest comments are responded to within under 24 hours. And so everyone knows that we're going to silently communicate to our guests one of two things when a comment comes in. If we get to it quickly, like you do, we're going to silently communicate that we really value and we care about that guest's specific feedback. And then more than that, you get, even in the small town of Galva, you get over 25 surveys per month. And within OSAT, there's 4 specific ratings. And what's awesome about your store is your highest 2 ratings are cleanliness and the experience with staff. Everyone has sandwich artistry 1 completed. And when I talked to Cindy, which I know that a field consultant of ours, and she was a field consultant of yours for a long time, I was like, hey, can I get some feedback on Greg? She said, Greg does everything right. He's a role model. And what I know about you is you're a star, you're a rising star. And I hope that both you guys continue to expand within the Subway family. We really are better for it. And Greg, as I heard more about your story a couple of years ago and how you got involved with Subway, and then now hearing about Jared, and Jared and I spoke, I think about a year ago. Jared called me and said, hey, I want to pick your brain about a couple of things. And I was honored to get that phone call. But as we were talking, and as I was thinking about the topic I wanted to discuss this month, I thought I have got to get you guys on a call and do this interview. And so that leads us into what our topic of the month is. And the topic may be a little different than what our audience has seen in the past, but the topic is the value of mentorship. And so I want to give some examples, because when I say mentorship, people might be thinking about, like, what does that mean? Is that like a high school counselor, or that's kind of a weird term to use maybe nowadays. And I've talked about mentorship, and I've talked about in the past having a board of advisors. So I want to give some examples of what I mean by that. And then we're going to get into some questions. And so give you some personal application. When I say mentorship, I mean, let's say you're a high school student, and before you go to college, you're interviewing maybe some college graduates, and you're asking them some questions and saying, what do you wish you knew before you went into college? Or maybe you're not going, maybe you're getting married and you're interviewing some people that have been married for 5-10 years and they've got a thriving marriage, and you interview them and say, hey, what's your secret? What do you wish you know? What do you wish you knew then that you know now? Or maybe you're buying your first franchise, and Jared, just like what you did, and Greg, I know you've done this too. Before you buy your first franchise, you're talking with other franchisees. Hey, now you've been in the business for 5 years or 10 years. What do you know now that you wish you knew then? Or maybe you're becoming an MUO, something I hope that you guys get the opportunity to do in the future. You interview an MUO and you say, ask them that same question. And so the value of mentorship is really, really important. You guys model it, and I know you find value in it. And so let's dive right into the questions. My first question, Greg, let's start with you. Again, since you've got seniority, why is it important to you specifically to have a mentor?
Mentorship is like so valuable to me because there's so much like new things that happen in this business all the time. There's always those things that we're not planning for that happen. And for most of us that are probably watching this video, there's someone here that has done it before you have. There's someone that has been through that issue in the past. And if we can share those experiences with our mentees or our mentors, it's going to help us in the future. I've had the pleasure to have some great mentors throughout my entire career at Subway. District managers, my franchisee, even my field consultant, Cindy, I've always looked up to and reached out to them for any question I have. And a person that is like a mentor to me is someone that can just answer those questions for me. Someone that's always going to respond. And if they don't know the answer, they're going to find someone that does. I think it's just really important to have someone that can share their knowledge and guidance and kind of influence you, like you said, to where you know these things in the future, but if you would have known them in the past, it could have benefited you so much. So I think like being a mentor is kind of like being a friend. You obviously don't want to just go up and ask someone, hey, would you want to be my mentor? Kind of like you're not going to ask someone to just be your friend. It just kind of falls into place like that. And for me, it's worked out good. So I think everybody can find someone to mentor them that has gone through what they're going through, especially in our professional field at Subway. Like there's so many franchisees that are close to our restaurant, our neighboring franchises. I personally have relationships with all of the franchisees within like, I don't know, 30 miles of my restaurants, and
great.
That are even further. And we all bounce ideas off each other, keep an open line of communication. And, we never judge each other. That's like, why doesn't he know that? It's always just helping each other. So that's kind of what mentoring is to me.
I want to pull out two things before I ask Jared that same question. So all of what you said right there requires a certain skill, and that requires for you to have humility. And I know that you do have that, but humility is part of it, right? Because if I think I have all the answers, then I very likely won't be looking for an opportunity to ask a question and maybe or hear a best practice. I'm not going to be open to that. The second thing I really like that you said is it's not that you're being a weirdo about it and saying, hi, my name's Greg, would you like to be my mentor? Like, it's not like you wouldn't go up to a friend, like you said. I thought that was really, really good. That's a great comparison there. So Jared, how about you? Same question. Why is it important to you specifically to have a mentor?
Yeah, 1 month and 5 days into the business, I'm just getting my feet wet. So you could imagine, there's so many questions. We're going into window 3 right now with the fresh melts, 20 days after I take over. So, I'm still getting my feet wet with becoming a franchisee, and now we're rolling out the new promotion, which is going great, by the way, doing great.
Oh, that's cool. That's good.
But yeah, there's going to be tons of questions, and everybody needs guidance. Like you touched on humility, we can't be afraid to ask. Knowledge is power. The more we know, the more we can pass on to our staff and our sandwich artists, our managers, and make them a better crew. You can't be afraid to ask, and getting that second opinion is always great. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why having a mentor is so important, getting that second opinion before we make a decision that could potentially impact our business.
Yeah, you mentioned the rollout of melts, and so it's great to be able to say, hey, as a franchisee, this is going to be my first time rolling out a new product. And quite honest, I mean, this is the largest window rollout since 2019, some window, but one of the most involved and strategic rollouts that we've had in over a year. And so having the ability to ask the questions, have the humility to ask the questions to nearby franchisees or to your brother and say, hey, what is the best way to equip my sandwich artist, my entire team, with the skills to make sure we roll this out well? Do I need to have a single meeting with everybody? Should I assign the Window 3 Subway University class? Which I would say yes, you should. Should I host a whole team meeting after the store closes? How do you find success in that, et cetera? And so if not, you're just going to go based on what you think you know, and we all don't know what we don't know, right? So good. Second question is, for someone that doesn't have a mentor, how would you find one? We already identified that the rule number one is don't be a weirdo, okay? So don't go up to someone on the street or go to the business next door and say, are you looking for a mentee? I'm looking for a mentor. That doesn't work like that. So Greg, why don't we start with you again? What's some advice you'd tell someone that if you were having a conversation, they're like, you know what, Greg, I don't have a mentor. What advice would you give them?
Kind of like how I touched on in the previous question, a little bit about like building those relationships with other franchisees that are near you. That's really important. It started way back when I was an assistant manager and I was running out of product at my store, and I would have to go to Kiwani and ask their manager, hey, can I borrow this or that product? And that just builds a little relationship with their manager, and that kind of grew to me meeting the franchisees of that store. And I, like I said, keep that open line of communication with them, and they might not know it, but they, I look up to people like that. We all want to be successful franchisees and be multi-unit owners, and yeah. Be successful. So I think it's just important to find people to relate with. It doesn't always have to be in the same field, but like I said, there's so many new things that happen in Subway, and there's so many good resources that are available to us, but we might not know they're there. For example, like things on the feed that are hard to find, or I was talking to a new franchisee last week. We sat down together just to pick each other's brain, and we're going over like the IPC website and all the different, discounts and just so many good resources that we have available to us, that we just need to share that knowledge with other people. And it's just so easy to do so. Like you can just be friends and have a simple conversation, kind of like we're having, and we're just teaching each other and we're learning from each other. So
Jared, same question for you. So for someone that doesn't have a mentor, and they come to you and they say, Jared, I don't have a mentor, how do I find one? What would your advice be?
Absolutely. Yeah, I kind of want to touch on the board of advisors.
Yeah.
For people who might not have seen your videos that you've put out in the past, you've touched on that a lot, and I think it's so important. We all have a board of advisors, right at our fingertips. For me, I've been blessed to have multiple people in my family in the Subway business. I have another brother that manages a Subway. His wife used to manage a Subway. Cool. My mom is a business owner, so I can bounce questions off of these guys all day long, and I know that they're going to get back to me. Yeah. How I found a mentor, I just looked for somebody in a position I wanted to be in one day, and then I just asked them a question with an open mind. That's why you got a phone call from me, Michael. I called a lot of other franchisees and field consultants, just to get those ideas before I might have made a mistake that impacted my business. When I was training to become a franchisee, this gentleman had told me the tuition has already been paid after we had made like a slight disagreement about a business plan. And that's kind of stuck with me ever since I've taken over. It's only been a few months since then, but I'm always going to have an open mind when I'm talking to people that have more experience in this field than me. I've been blessed to, you know, be in contact with people that have been in the Subway business for 15, 20 years. You know, it's amazing. So they've experienced everything that could possibly happen. So it's important that we keep an open mind and really listen to what they have to say.
Yeah, no, that's great, Jared. And something that you said there, you said a little differently, but you know, whether you've been in the business for a month and a half or 3 years or 10 years or 30 years, part of our business, or any business really, any industry, is we need to be coachable and we need to be committed to being lifelong learners, because the industry changes. I mean, the way that we serve customers today was different than 2019, and it was certainly different than 2010. And you know, keep on going back, because the industry is constantly changing. We need to be open as entrepreneurs, as men and women that own businesses. We need to be open and committed to learning new ways to do things. And I think it's also pretty cool too to have a mentor or someone on your board of advisors that just thinks completely different than you. I've got someone that I talk to that owns a couple of businesses completely outside of the food industry, and he thinks incredibly different than I do. He's got 40 years on me. He's got a lot. He thinks different. We disagree on a lot of stuff, but every time we talk, I learned something new from him. He's got a ton of experience and a hardworking guy, et cetera. So it's not just surrounding your people with like-minded people. Surrounding yourself with people that maybe you don't agree with all the time is important too. So let's move on to our third and final question here before we wrap up. The last question, and why don't we let Jared go first on this one? So what is one specific way that you have grown as a Subway franchisee, as a business owner, by having a mentor?
You know, I had to kind of dig deep for this one. You know, my drive back and forth to Abingdon, I've been putting in some time thinking about this one. And what I've come up with is really starting to understand and own the problem. You know, we own the business as franchisees. We really need to start owning the problem, whether that be one of our employees might not be trained up, or our restaurant might not be cleaned as well as we'd like it to be. Our customers aren't getting served to Subway standards and our standards as a franchisee. We have to take action to make those changes in a positive way. And I think it's so important that we stay positive, guys. I know 2020 was such a rough year, but you know, April's doing great. You know, I think 2021 is going to have a lot of positive things. The big refresh is coming. It's a chance for us to be the top dogs of the sandwich market again. I think if we really push, you know, we're getting new ingredients and we're excited about it, we're going to have a chance to get our customers back that might not have visited the store in a few months. So these next couple of months is a super big opportunity for our brand to really take over. And I'm excited. You know, as a new franchisee, been getting tons of compliments about the atmosphere of the store getting changed, and it just means the world to me. You know, we have a remodel coming in Q4 that we're really excited about. So it's going to give the community another chance to see how invested we are. And just making a sandwich, you know, it's amazing. We're so invested in it, making sandwiches and helping customers with a smile on our face. So
yeah, no, I like that, Jared. That's awesome. Greg, same question. What's one specific way that you've grown as a Subway franchisee, as a business owner, by having a mentor?
I've grown specifically lately, actually, to stop procrastinating. Believe it or not, you know, you said how quick I respond to my Medallia surveys, but I kind of am a procrastinator. I'm trying to work on that. So that's where I'm growing at currently. You know, trying to stop waiting for the last minute on things like, you know, new window rollouts or getting that menu manager update and stuff like that. I've been working on just getting ahead of that. You know, it just makes life so much more stressful when we're behind on stuff like that. So you know, being ahead instead of being behind and procrastinating has kept me being more motivated. And with the store being as busy as it has lately, there's no time to procrastinate. We got to make sure we're getting those schedules out on time so our employees know when they need to work. We don't want to wait till the last minute to order that truck, to have to reach out to Cisco to see if it got confirmed or not. You know, little things like that stress us out. I've learned that, the stress will kind of weigh on you if you get behind on things. So I've grown in a way that I've tried to cut that down in my life, and it's been better so far. So it's a constant battle. Keep working on it.
Yeah, cool, Greg. No, that's great. So I feel like I have to say this because you guys are saying all the right things. And so I need to make sure the audience knows, like, I sent you 3 questions and told you I was going to ask you 3 questions. We didn't rehearse any of this. So I want to make sure the audience knows you guys are the real deal. And like I said, we as a Subway family, I think franchisees that are watching this have been in the business for a long time. I think they're probably looking at you guys and like, that's awesome to have some young blood in the system and some guys that are energetic and ready to move forward and have a great year. And so I want to put that disclosure in there real quick. So Greg and Jared, you guys stick around here real quick. I'm going to wrap up this video and then I'll let you guys go. But so for our audience, I want to wrap up the video and leave you with a challenge. So as many of you guys know, and what we've been talking about this entire time is the fact that there are 2 sides to the business, okay? There's an analytical side. We spent a lot of time talking about that. And then there is a relational side of the business. Both of them require our attention and both of them require us to be strategic about them. Obviously, today's conversation was more on the relational side. And so the question I want to leave you with is this. Number 1, do you have a board of advisors? Number 2 would be, if you don't, who do you need to add to that board of advisors? Or maybe who do you need to kick off your board of advisors or replace on your board of advisors? Do you have a mentor and are you mentoring somebody? For maybe some of us, our first step is to reach out to a nearby franchise owner and just simply connect with them, ask them some questions, share some best practices. And of course, if you have any questions at all on this topic or any other topic, don't hesitate to reach out to me. So Greg and Jared, on behalf of the entire Subway community, I want to thank you guys for your time and thank our audience for tuning into this month's conversation. Join us next month for another best practice discussion. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.